What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Social Media Mindset Podcast. And today we have an episode unlike any other we've ever had before, because I am with a gentleman who he doesn't even have a title. He wears so many hats. There isn't one title that can truly embody what he does. But guys, today I've got Casey Knowles with Ticket Mortgage. Casey, what's up, dude?
Hey, what's happening?
Man, I'm so glad you're here.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me.
And here's why this is unique, because this is going to be, I don't know what episode this will be. This will be episode like high 70s to 80, somewhere in that range of my show. And guys, we've never done anything like this because Casey and a friend of mine, Nick Carpenter, that has the Legion of Loan Officers, man, y'all teamed up and y'all put together a TV show. And when I say TV show, guys, I don't want you to think like homemade TV show. I want you to think like HGTV, like something you've seen on your literal TV. Casey, this is what you guys did. And the premise, and then I'm going to shut up and not talk for 30 minutes at least. The premise of this, guys, is they wanted to prove the way they run their business. And so Casey picked up and moved. You picked up and moved from where you lived with your family. You relocated to a different part of the state where you knew no one. And you literally figured out how to get to, was it 2 million in volume?
That was the goal.
That was the goal, right? In less than 90 days. And so it's ReloLO, correct?
Yeah, ReloLO show is the website, but yeah, ReloLO.
ReloLOshow.com. And this will all be in the show notes. And so, bro, let's just like further the premise, give us the details that you want to give us. And then I just have like so many questions about all the different marketing strategies that went into making this happen, because at the end of the day, that's what this podcast is about. So, dude, the floor is yours. Like, just go.
Well, to start off with, I had moved to Colorado, and even though I was a seasoned loan officer, I hadn't started over in a long time. And so after somewhat failing for a few months in Colorado, I started working with Nick and the Legion of Loan Officers. Yeah. And I was able to do really well within my first 12 months of starting my brokerage, the first fiscal year. So, and
let's tell everybody, like you're a super humble guy, which I love about you. And so you're not going to say it, but tell, like, so people have a benchmark. Like, what'd you end up doing in your first 12 months?
Yeah, as a broker, I was number 4 in Colorado in my first fiscal year here. And it was 52 million or something like that personally. Wow. And then we did 100. I had a couple other people I hired, and so we did a little over 100 million.
Wow, man, that's awesome. Okay, keep going.
Well, just really short, since he helped me do that in a short amount of time. And I have, when I hear people say they can't do it, or, things can't be done, or they have a negative mindset, I felt like I owed Nick Carpenter at least. So if you ever follow Nick, whenever you go on Facebook and stuff, he runs ads. And if you see any of his ads, you're going to get retargeted and hammered with his ads. And so since he's my friend, whenever I look at the comments, sometimes they're always burning him because his beard and, he's a piece of garbage, and like, they don't even know this guy. He's one of the nicest guys on the entire planet. And so
the best.
Yeah. And so as I did really well, and I only did well because he kind of brought some new marketing into my world, and I was able to use my world and his world in combination and do really well with it. That when I saw the comments just bashing his character and stuff, I always had a little bit of a kind of a chip on my shoulder that I'd like to prove it publicly that Nick's badass, that he's just a kind guy, great guy, and his stuff works. And so I did go to him and say, hey, look, and we were wanting to recruit. And I thought, hey, if we could show on paper, like on camera, that what I do and what you do, that if we just put together a plan, you do the plan, I'll stick to it, that it'll work. And since I already did it, I believed I could do it again with his help. And we just did that. We put together a plan, or actually he put together a plan. I executed it in the hopes of doing 2 million, originating 2 million by the third month. And I don't want to give away the numbers, but the numbers are substantial. So
more than what you had planned.
Quite a bit more. Yeah, substantially more.
Yeah. So guys, think about listeners, like how many times have we been like, oh, we could do that. Oh, if I had to start over, yeah, I could do that. You did it, because it's easy for us to talk about it.
Yeah,
but you did it.
It's an interesting point, because while I was doing it, there was another person in the industry who's a very high level guy, and he hadn't restarted. You always get these guys that are super famous, right? Like you'll get a Barry Habib guy or somebody, and they're like, if I were to start over, I would do this.
Right.
And I felt like I was that guy. Like I felt like I could have told you, if I start over, this is what I would do. Yeah. And what happens is when you actually do it, you realize, and what was cool about when I did it, I wrote my results on the wall on the show, the people, where deals came from. And even though I knew what I was going to do and I executed it to a pretty high percentage and I got good results, I still went back and looked at what happened and go, oh, I would do it different again. And that was the aha moment. That was the cool thing. Like, that's why I spent 3 months away from my house, because now I know how to do it faster.
Yeah. So Casey, talk about, like, obviously y'all haven't even released the full, like, as we record this episode, y'all haven't aired the final episode yet. So obviously I'm there's going to be things that you may not be able to talk about just yet, but in general, can you talk about, like, what you would even do different if season 2 is dropping you in another city?
Yeah. So I knew the real estate agent that I work really well with, my avatar, my perfect client. Yeah. I've been doing this about 20 years. So I knew who I was looking for.
Okay.
And in the end, it played out very well. I ended up finding my clients that I do really well with, specific age, gender, their situation, how long they've been in the business, how big their team is. I have this person really well identified.
Yeah.
What I realized in the end, I had written about 50 names on the board of people that were my database that I had created while I was there. And then in the end, I pulled out the names of the people that I did business with. And what I found, what I realized was, instead of going into a market, casting a big net and waiting for my 2 or 3 people to come out of it.
Yeah.
If I had started off that 3 months hyper focused on this person that I already identified and speaking to them very specifically, I wouldn't have had to deal with the other 47 people that I didn't like, or marginally liked, or kind of liked, or whatever, that I could have been way more efficient. And what happened was, I ended up getting more than my number from just 2 people.
Wow.
And I don't want to get into it too far, but we had quite a few units, but just 2 people that were my avatar, my perfect client, got me more than I needed for our goal. And so I could have avoided a lot of heartache, cold calling or doing things that invites to classes and things that people, specifically honing in my message to the needs and emotions of my client.
So
that was a big finding.
Yeah. And that's huge, right? I mean, that should be the goal of any of us. I don't know if have you ever read the book, Who Moved My Cheese?
Yep. Oh yeah.
So it's one of my favorite books.
Ken Blanchard.
Yeah. Yep. And well, so I didn't realize until just recently, they have a kid's version that he wrote. Yeah. And so I bought it for our daughter for her birthday, and I read it to her 2 nights ago.
Nice.
And man, it was fascinating, like watching her 7-year-old brain kind of wrap her mind around the concepts that, as most adults, don't even understand about some of this stuff. And so, what I want to kind of understand about this whole process through ReloLO is, like, walk us through it, like, a high level of you go into this city, you already know your avatar, and that's obviously a huge piece, but then, like, where do you begin to cast your net? What does that look like to begin to kind of start leaving some, like, trails
Yeah.
that cause those people to kind of come out of the woodwork.
Yeah. And it actually happens pretty naturally. If the thing that I have of value is needed by my client, then
Okay.
you just kind of need to get that message in front of enough people for them to hear it, right?
Okay.
But one step better is if you can, instead of speaking to what you have, you speak to that person's, your perfect client's not perfect. Your perfect client has holes in their game. Your perfect
Right.
client, for example, my perfect client is like a 32-year-old female realtor who either is divorced or has a significant other who doesn't support her and they're not happily married.
Okay.
Isn't part of a Keller Williams team and have to do scripts and have meetings, and they have all this structure. They're 1 to 2 people, 3 people on a team. They don't really have a lot of support. So when I come in and I'm like, I can help you with these things, they don't have 5 other bosses telling them what to do, and they're not late on scripts and all these other stuff. So they actually need help. And that makes it really easy that when I offer help and they show up and I say, hey, look, why don't you hand me your database? Let me make some phone calls for you. They're like, here you go. Like, I need help. You're here to help me. I will open my world to you. Somebody's part of a huge team and has huge support. And I say, hey, why don't you let me help you? And they're like, well, I got scripts at 9 and I didn't even do the work I was supposed to do yesterday. And my production manager's on my butt. Like, they just don't have time. And
so you're coming to them with a completely unique value proposition than they've ever heard from an LO before. Right.
Yeah.
So then if I'm the listener, I'm listening to this going, dude, this is great, right? I could do this, but like, out of all the realtors in this new market that you show up to, how do you identify where yours are?
And that's just it, right? So whenever you identify who your perfect client is, you finding out where they locate, where they hang out. That's step 2, right? Like, first of all, who's this person and what are their needs and why do they need that? And what happens if they don't get it? And, like mine, say she's single with a 10-year-old son. How does she feel when she's at work and not with her son? How does she feel when she's with her son and not at work? Like, she needs to make it. She needs to show him she's successful, but she doesn't want to be so successful that he feels alone. That's the kind of depth that once you figure that stuff out, then you'll find out also where they hang out online. Like, are they listening to Gary Vee or are they in the Facebook group? You know what I mean? And once you find out where they're at, then it's pretty easy to deliver the message that you've developed by understanding where their emotions are. I'm not trying to get too crazy here, but if I'm trying to get somebody to a class, then we kind of need the whole hook, right? Kind of throw some sort of hook so they see you, and then some sort of story on you were there and you can help them transform to somewhere else. And then some sort of offer like, hey, I got this class and we can fix this problem. So identifying who they are actually helps me create a hook, create some sort of story to connect with them, and then a solution, which would be a class in the situation.
And now I haven't made it to this episode in the show yet. So hopefully I don't ask this question and it's not even accurate, but I know because again, guys, I'm telling you, when you go watch this, like, there's previews for the next episode, like that you're like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And so in one of the previews that I saw, like, you have a class that you've promoted.
Yep.
Right. All of this is working. And like, you know who you want there, you've invited. And in the preview, there's like 3 people in the room. And now, so this is the part that I don't know if, like, you're using that as the hook, but then like 14 other people came, or if there were only 3 people in the room. But how did that story play out? And then regardless of if there were 50 there or 3, how did you then leverage that class to create enough value to get them to pay attention?
Okay. Well, 3 people showed up because 3 people needed what I had.
Okay. So 3, so that was the real number, 3 people.
Yeah. Which is important, right?
Heck yeah.
So I could offer ice cream and get everybody to go there, or I could just offer what I had and I get the 3 right people.
Preach.
Two of those 3 people got me more than my number.
Wow.
And what was really cool about that, and what everybody can do, is you look for wins. So we were going to stand up in front of the room. We are going to do this big class. Our production crew had twice as many people as our attendees. So we got guys with mics and cameras, and I had a loan officer of mine come. Nick was there. Nick drove 3 hours to be there, 4 hours.
Gosh.
And then we have 4 film guys, and only 3 people came to the class. And so I even had a title guy there. I mean, it was embarrassing at best.
And dude, you're sweating. I mean, like you look like you want to throw up on the episode.
Well, the problem with that at first was I was thinking, this is about me. I got the cameras on me and I'm doing this TV show, and I got my name on the line, and nobody comes. And for about 30 seconds, I'm like, man, I probably look like a fraud. And but I leaned over with Nick and said, man, there's 3 people here. It's not about me. Like, let's rip it. And so we got off stage and pulled the tables together, and we just all sat down together, and we made it really close knit, and we just started talking, and it turned out being the best thing ever, because we used what we had, right? And the people that came, it was about them. We just started focusing on them, and that actually enabled me to really understand what they needed. And luckily, I don't know if it's lucky or not, but each problem that they had, I actually had a solution to. So one person was super busy, and we had a solution for getting a VA to help them, virtual assistant. Yep. And then another person had a different problem, and then the guy had a different problem. And we had solutions for all those. And that enabled us to actually get quite a bit of relationship time in the class, instead of just standing up and being a talking head.
And man, I hope people hear that, right? Y'all brought solutions to their problems, whereas most loan officers in that situation would just bring their pitch to the table.
Yeah, we didn't have a pitch.
Right. Well, because pitches suck. They don't work.
Yeah.
Right. Because a pitch is about you, but you guys, what y'all are so good at is you are tailoring what you guys do well to be the answer to their problems. So I'm curious, the 3 people that were in the room, how did your invite get to them? Was it all 3 the same invite, or was it different?
Yeah, I had a little bit of skill on one of them. I had called this girl named Jashelle, and she was part of a somewhat successful real estate team. It was her and another girl. Okay. And I tried getting, and this was a little bit of elbow grease. I'd sent her some Facebook messages, and she didn't reply 3 or 4 times. But it was my job to get some commitments to go to the class. And so finally, one day, I called on the phone, and she picked up, and I said, hey, what's the deal? You're not like replying to my messages. I got this class. And she goes, well, I'm too busy to go to your class. And I give myself a little bit of credit on this one, because I said, wow, that's fantastic. I think she said that we had 4 closings yesterday. And so it's, with 4 closings, I just can't be there. Sure. And on that one, I did pretty good. And I said, well, if you're that busy that you can't answer the phone, you could probably get a virtual assistant to make sure that when your offers are coming in, that people are getting back to them to help your future business. And you could probably do that really cheap. If you come to my class, I'll talk to you about it 10 minutes before class, and we'll see if we can get a virtual assistant in place. Come on. And she was a smart girl, and she goes, yeah, makes sense. And she ended up being one of the 2 girls that I did the most business with. Wow. So your willingness to pivot, right? Like in that moment, I was still listening for a problem. Is where I did good. I was listening for a problem. She gave me a problem, and I'm like, we could fix that. So I love it. And so then the other 2. Yeah, there was a guy named Eric there. Eric's a fantastic guy. He wasn't my avatar. He's not my 32-year-old female. And so I ended up meeting him afterwards for a one-on-one. It didn't go anywhere. And then there was a girl named Lori in there, and Lori and I are still so close. I'm going to see her like next week. And then Lauren just got there, I think, off of a Facebook ad, I think. Okay. We ran about $30 in Facebook ads per class. Man, I love it. And I know, guys, just so y'all know, right? Like the Legion of Loan Officers is an unbelievable group of people. We'll have a link in the show notes to that. I'm actually speaking
at the time of us recording this, in about 3 weeks, I'm speaking at the Cabal inside of the Legion of Loan Officers. And so, guys, I like Casey, am an incredible advocate of Nick Carpenter and the value that he just so freely gives to our industry, and would also fight anyone that chose to stand opposed to that. He'd probably rather have you in his corner than me. For anybody that sees a picture of Casey and then knows what I look like, you'd probably take Casey. But nonetheless, man, the value that you guys bring to the table is unbelievable. People get tattoos of Legion of Loan Officer on their bodies, right? Which is unbelievable to me. And so and actually you can go back, I think it's like episode maybe like 3 or 4 or 5. Nick was on my show really, really early on, for anybody that wants to go listen. But Casey, talk to people about, because you said you've been in this industry for 2 decades.
Yeah.
What do you watch LOs do poorly just over and over and over again when it comes to the way they do things online?
I think that most people in real estate, I would say realtors and loan officers are alike, try to get business too close to the goal line, too close to the sale is how I feel. If I get on Facebook and somebody's like, hey, does anybody know a loan officer in Vancouver? And then there's 300 people saying, pick me, pick me.
Mm-hmm.
When you get close to getting paid, when you get close to the sale, the competition is really high. Yeah. And the client's sales resistance is really high. Nobody wants to get sold. Trust is really hard to be gotten. And I feel that too many salespeople try to operate close to that line, either through leads or, so what happens is, our time frame for getting paid in real estate at best is probably 30 days. You find a client and 30 days later, hopefully you get paid. And so I think many loan officers and real estate agents, since they don't get paid regularly, I think there's a lot of demand to make money. So they try to get as close to the sale as possible, for example, with leads. Mm-hmm. And when you work in leads, you're trying to develop these relationships. It's 1 unit of work to get 1 unit of pay. And I don't like to operate, in my opinion, I think that that's a bad way to do it. The sooner you can get away from the goal line, just like football. You ever see the football on the goal line? Like, they can't move that ball 4 inches because everyone is focused on that ball. But the rest of the game, the average yards per play is like 3.6 yards or whatever it is. It's a huge difference. Right. That's how I feel. And so whenever I try to work, I try to get as far away from the sale as possible to get the referral situation and I can build one relationship with the real estate agent that takes me, say, 3 hours. Sure. Whereas I could spend 3 hours calling leads and just get one deal. And I feel that too many people try to work close to the goal line is my gut. So, man, I couldn't agree with you more. My next question to you is like, somebody can agree that this is true, but there's a mindset shift that it takes to like turn the salesman off inside of you to truly come from a place of value. And like, how do you teach another LO or realtor to like truly care enough about you to go, dude, if I don't make any money off of you for the next 90 days, like that's not my concern. I think guys like you, guys like Nick, even guys like me that truly operate from a place of value, I don't know if it's innate in us or if it's taken a long time, but like, I know you've worked with LOs that like, they just can't figure this part out. Yeah. So like, what shift in mindset does it take to truly not just say what you said, but be telling the truth when you say it? Yeah, that happened with me over time. When I was a wholesale lender, whenever the market changed in 2008, and I went from being a wholesale lender to a retail lender, a regular loan officer. So I was a rep before for a while, and then I became a loan officer. Anyway, there's a long period there, but in '08, where I was at, values went from 500 to 300,000 pretty much overnight. And there were no loans to be had for about a year. And when I went back into the game in retail, since all the broker shops went out of business, I started repairing people's credit. And my thought was, if I get this buyer ready, I'm going to give it to a real estate agent, and then they're going to owe me a deal. So for every deal I procure, I get 2 out of it. And I thought about it in a mechanical sense where I'm going to create value and I'm going to get value back. And I did it intentionally. It worked really, really, really well.
Yeah.
And so since then, I've always known that. But as you get older, you start to realize that the value is always in the relationship.
Yeah.
And to prove a point in the show, most people would think, hey, if you only have 90 days to do this, the best way to do it would be to run in, be super greasy and schmooze and just try to take, because you're not going to be there very long. So the fastest way to win would be to do it in a takeaway, right?
Right.
Because you're not worried about being there long enough for things to balance out.
Sure.
Our strategy was month 1, we're going to meet people. Month 2, we're going to pour as much value as we can. And month 3, we're going to see what happens. That was our, if you watch the show, you'll see. I'm just going to add value. I'm going to add value. And I don't anticipate anything happening. And then we talked about this hockey curve. So at some point, the relationship equity gets so full in the other person that they don't feel okay anymore.
Right.
They're like, I don't feel comfortable because you've been giving me so much stuff that you're making me feel bad.
Yeah.
And they will start looking for it. And this is what's interesting. The 2 people that sent me all the business, I didn't even get business from them. Only 2 deals. Wow. 2 out of 10 deals from 2 people. The other 8 were referred by them, but because of my relationship to them. It's really crazy. But you will notice that I did it faster than by doing it the natural way. It actually was faster and more productive.
Yeah.
By doing it the slow way.
Dude, that's game changer to me, because I coach social media. And if you would treat social media like you're looking for your next referral and not like you're looking for your next transaction, everybody's worth way more money when you look at them as a referral source and not a transaction.
Yeah. And even more if you look at them as a friend.
100%.
Yeah.
But very few people actually pay attention this way. And I think believe that it actually works. And what's also fascinating about sales is I think people convince themselves that you can't refer me until we've been in a transaction. So nobody even thinks that, well, how can I get referrals? I'm brand new.
Yeah.
And but most of my referral sources, my biggest referral partners, some of them have never been clients of mine.
Understood. Same thing. I've had people say, oh my gosh, you got to use him. He's a great loan officer. And I've never done a loan with him. But they assume because I'm such a good guy,
right,
that I forget what that principle is called, but you look at somebody at some way and they're great at it. You just assume they're great at everything.
Right.
And so I go and I help them. They're like, oh, you got to use Casey. He's just an incredible loan officer. What they mean is he's an incredible guy and you're not going to be sorry.
Right. And so Casey, tell us, you did this show, right? How many episodes is it in total?
6 plus
6 episodes.
6 in a reveal type.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And so obviously you had expectations of some sort that you took into it for all different things. What was the one thing that happened that you were like, in a million years, I could have never predicted or anticipated this?
It's going to be hard to convey how this felt, but I wrote all the names on the board as a database when I got into my 3rd month, so I would remember who to call and where I could potentially get a deal from.
Yeah.
And what was really interesting was in the very end, I was super exhausted. I was emotionally drained, and
I can't imagine.
Yeah, it was just self-pressure, right? I'm like,
sure,
because I didn't get my deals until the last week.
Wow.
Like it didn't come, the hockey stick thing, the way we did it, we were trying to, like, we weren't going to get any deals until the end. And so I didn't try to get anything until I built the value first. But a couple days before, I wasn't even there a full 90 days. I left a few days early because the weekend was there. It was Halloween and my family and stuff. And
Sure.
so we did a little bit shorter, but I took the names from one board and I had this wall up. I bought these Post-it notes and I taped it up, and I did a second wall and I transferred names. And what was really interesting was a lot of people say, write down what happens in your year and go back and look at it, and you can learn so much. And it sounds great, and that's a lot of work. And I don't know that I can do it that much, but I honestly put these names up on a board when I transferred them, and I sat on the couch and I was exhausted. And I remember looking and I just went, oh, like there was a guy that gave me a hard time during the show, and I absolutely disliked this guy. And he was very rude, obnoxious. He came to my socials, arrogant. He made some of my guests feel bad.
Wow.
He's a somewhat popular realtor in that area. I just didn't like him, and I had to deal with him multiple times. And when I sat looking at my production board where all my business came with, I just realized, I'm like, I didn't need to go through the discomfort that I did to get that. And I didn't realize that until the end. When I wrote it down, I had the video playing. I had some video playing from some of the video guys, had some stuff going on the computer that I was watching. So I heard that in the background. I heard me cold calling this guy, kind of thing, like trying to get him to a class.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I was watching my board on where all my stuff came from. And I just realized I didn't need any of the negative stuff had I focused on my avatar up front, because none of my business came from my heartaches, right? Anyway,
so good.
It's hard to convey, but when you're exhausted and you go through it, and then you have this aha moment, like, I could have done this even faster. I could have done it better. I could have been working with people I like better. I could have been pouring more into them and less into the asses and the negative people and stuff. Like, I just didn't need to be there, and I know for a fact, like, if I were to do it again, I could just do it easier, and I could do it more. I don't think I could do it necessarily much faster, because you do need some time to make a real relationship. That doesn't happen because of technique,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would even argue, because I know both of you guys, like 90 days is probably even faster than you would just naturally like to cultivate relationships.
Yeah.
If you're just doing it normal.
Yeah. But we actually have some tactics that promote that, because there's even when you care for somebody, there's things you can do that help cultivate a relationship, even from a sincere level. And that's, I love the people that I worked with there. And to this day, nothing has changed, because they're my people. And there's not a thing I would have, that I still wouldn't do. I mean, Lauren, for example, her and her teammate, they're down in Pueblo. So it's 3.5-4 hours from here. I'm going there next week to hang out and help their team out. And I'm not even producing that much. And so just to show you, like, when you work with people that you like, it's not work, No,
man, it's awesome. I can't wait to watch the rest of the show. And I can't let you get out of here without asking a video question, because you lived with a film crew for 3 months. So real quick, talk to us about, like, what was the mental warfare like? Always, because you're not a camera guy anyway, right? Like, Nick and I, we can both live in front of a camera, and that's our skill set. We're good at it. This is not what you enjoy doing, right? Which made you perfect for being the star of that show, because you hate that spotlight so much. So what was that, like, mental warfare like, having to overcome always having a camera pointed in your direction?
Yeah, I got really lucky. The Culture Media is the production crew that filmed it. And call him the main guy, his name's Rob Espedia. And I got really lucky because Rob and I ended up having a lot of things in common. So when I moved there, and Rob would come over every day and mic me up and follow me around, and walking with a drone over my head and all those things. And he knew I hated it. He's like, man, I'm sorry. Let's just do this. And I need you to go back here and we got to shoot this shot again. And can you smile? And, but not having my family there in the beginning was the first couple of weeks were hard. And then what happened was I got used to being alone. And then my kids started kind of detaching and they weren't quite as engaged. And then that became hard because I saw the separation. So then I had to try to re-engage. And so all those things were on top of trying to do this thing. And that was, it was a lot of pressure, but what was cool about it was Rob, who's a very young version of me, at least as far as I can tell, we clicked really well. And so it made it fun to develop a new friendship when there was a big gap in my life. Normally I'm married with kids. I don't have room for new friends, and I'm doing family stuff. And so to have that gap and have somebody there that had a similar mindset, he's a really kind, nice, driven, entrepreneurial guy. And we would, we'd jump on YouTube and look at Alex Hormozy videos or whatever. And, oh, look what this guy's doing or whatever. And so that made that made it nice. It was like getting a new family member. And that was a big bonus of doing the show. I ended up meeting probably 6 people that are now friends for life.
I love it. And I know I said that was the last question, but I got one more. So tell everybody about cheetah juice.
Oh,
because I think in branding and marketing, most LOs and realtors are so old school, and they're giving, pins to people, and so I remember, it was probably, it may have been over a year ago when y'all first dropped. There it is. Y'all can't see it on the podcast, but
I don't know.
But so tell people what is cheetah juice and what role does it play in y'all being able to be memorable?
Yeah, that was a fun thing. So almost exactly a year ago, Nick and I were at a Renee Rodriguez event doing Amplify.
Yep.
And Renee is very, very, has a special skill in getting to the soul of people and kind of figuring out what makes people tick and why do you do what you do. And I was up in front and he's like, what's your why kind of thing? Why do you go so hard? Why do you do what you do? And I said, Renee, man, I don't know. I just I get up. I'm like a cheetah. I just get up and there's a gazelle running across the thing and I just get after it and want to go get it. And I don't think I have a why, man. I'm like, my kids are fed. We do all right. It's not like I'm doing it for them necessarily. And he's like, bull crap. Renee's like, you're not getting off that easy. You're not getting off that easy, man. And so anyway, we went through some of that to kind of talk about why I do the things I do. But I came back and sat down next to Nick, and I always drink energy drinks. I had I think a diet Red Bull there or something. And Nick goes, you drink those very much? And I said, yeah. He goes, that's your cheetah juice, man. And so anyway, it was pretty funny. We came back and he ended up doing some research and he created the energy drink and got a label for it and stuff. And just for something fun, we try to get things done fast. We went to did the ReloLO show, try to hit a number fast, and speed to win is a pretty big thing, and that energy drink kind of represents that a little bit.
And it's one of those, what I love about it is it's almost cool enough to you don't want to drink it because you want to have it on your desk or in a cubby. And so it serves as a constant reminder of you.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be annoying, right? It's that passive branding that I love about it, which is why I had to talk about it before we finished.
We've gotten a lot of play from it. People love it. Plus they love how it tastes. So I've had no less than a dozen people ask to purchase cases of it so they can have it. And that's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun.
I need some.
Yeah,
So
well, I'll get
I
you
need
some.
to officially put in an order for some cheetah juice.
Do you drink energy drinks?
I love any, any of the sugar-free ones,
Yeah. Yeah,
Red
sugar free.
Bull or, any. I'll
It's,
drink any of
it's
them.
better than all of them.
Come on.
I
Man,
promise.
I can't wait. Casey, tell us how. We'll put all this in the show notes. How do people connect to you? How do people connect to the show? How do people connect to the Legion of Loan Officers?
Yep.
Drop that on us.
Yeah, there's a few different ways you can get a hold of us and or get some help if you want. If you want to watch this show, there are 6 shows plus a reveal show, and there's a YouTube channel for it, but you can easily find it at ReloLO show.com. So
Okay.
ReloLO show.com. And as the episodes are released, you can find them there. I think 4 released, maybe the 5th is tomorrow, if I got that right.
Okay.
And Legion of Loan Officers, I'm not sure on the website, but you can definitely Google Legion of Loan Officers.
We'll have it in the show. We'll get it in the show.
Yeah, it's also, they call it LOLO, as for short. You can find me on Facebook or Instagram, and Instagram is ReloLO show. And so you can find us there. And we also, just to pull a quick plug, we have a Facebook group that's a 6-week challenge that you can join, that Nick and I personally will help. First of all, if somebody wants to get from not doing well to doing well, I can help you 100% because I've done it a bunch of times. And so you're invited if you'd like to join the our 6-week challenge on Facebook. We give you daily to do items. It takes an hour or less, and it's very similar to what I did on the show. And it's only 6 weeks instead of 90 days because hopefully you already know some people,
right?
And that helps. But anyway, you're all invited to do that.
I love it.
Personally walk you through it.
Email me the link to that, and we'll make sure it's in the show notes for everybody.
Awesome.
Dude,
I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on the show and talking about all this stuff, man. It's been awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, man.
Of course. Guys, go watch the show, and then don't just watch it. Get over yourself, realize you're not perfect, and go pick up some of these skill sets and some of these tools, and more importantly, the mindsets that you're going to watch Casey have and grow through this show, and go apply it to your people. And then hopefully we'll be back next time with, well, it won't be somebody with a TV show, but it will be someone, and they will be cool, and they will have a great story. We'll see you guys next time. See ya.